Kel Minton,
Bob Peters.
thank you so much for having me here at Soul Gastro Lounge.
I'm excited to be here with y'all in my bar, I guess.
Hey, how about a little toast?
Yeah.
Here's to you.
Cheers to Cilantro.
Thank you. What was that?
De Leon Reposado.
Tequila?
Tequila.
You certainly do know your way to my heart.
I know. Every time
you.
you're here.
So let's talk a little bit about how you got your start in the business in the restaurant service industry.
So at this point in my life, I'm 28 years old, and I've had a job in the restaurant industry in some facet for the last 16 years of my life. So I started out bussing tables at one of my dad's restaurants.
12 years old?
12 years old, bussing tables at one of my dad's restaurant, and could never really escape the pace and just how much I love this industry.
So what restaurant was that?
So back then it was Providence Road Sundries. Still is Providence Road Sundries, different owners now. But my dad's actually owned that restaurant twice.
Wow.
So he was one of the original openers, along with a gentleman named John Doremus back in the early 80s, converting it from a soda shop to a bar and grill.
That place is a staple, and it has been for 100 years.
Yeah. He actually just got out of the industry last month.
Your dad?
He retired after about 35 years in the industry straight.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was.
How does that make you feel?
That there's a light at the end of the tunnel. That this isn't just an in-between job, as a lot of people see it anymore. This is now something you can call a career, whether you're in the kitchen, behind the bar, or on the floor. This is a career you can be proud of, which is what I saw my dad retire into.
So you started at 12
Yep.
with your dad. What was, do you think, your first major restaurant job? Like your first serious job where you really sunk your teeth into it and realized maybe that this is something that you wanted to do for the rest of your life?
I had my first actual responsibilities in a restaurant as a GM of a restaurant in Boone, North Carolina when I was going to App State.
Wow.
It was a Cuban restaurant called Tropical. And to be honest, the place is pretty poorly run. You know, hiring a 19-year-old GM is always a solid move. But that was the first time I've had actual responsibilities within a restaurant outside of just being a server or being a bartender.
Right.
And the responsibility felt great, and I was hooked immediately after. So after I got done with that and moved back to Charlotte, I went back to the Sundries for probably the third or fourth time.
Right.
I worked there. I've been fired once or twice by my dad, and rehired again later.
Okay, so after that, then how did you get from there, from the general manager at 19 in Boone, North Carolina, at a Cuban restaurant, to a place where you fell in love with making cocktails?
It's actually really cool steps to how this happened. Me and my bar manager at the Sundries got into a straight up screaming match at each other behind the bar one night. And it happened, one of my friends from high school, Miles Payne, who started up Little Spoon and now is a recruiter for Johnson & Wales, was sitting in the bar watching all this. He's like, "So man, I'm gonna guess you need a new job." And then he told me about opening up Little Spoon. So I started out there as one of their opening servers, and I was allowed to put a couple drinks on the cocktail list for Valentine's Day.
Do you remember what cocktails they were?
I do, actually. The first one was called Argumentative.
Which
for
makes
Valentine's,
a perfect
Valentine's
reason.
Day, yeah.
And that's kind of how you got that job, right?
Yeah.
Because you were argumentative?
Yeah, pretty much.
great.
That's probably how I lost the job in the long run, too. That is actually one of the only restaurant jobs I've been let go from. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You ended up getting fired over there?
I did.
Okay, so then where did you go after that?
So at the same time I was working at Little Spoon, I was working at an awesome restaurant, Heirloom, which we're all familiar with at this point, and under Clark. So when I was let go from Little Spoon, I called Clark up and asked him if he had room for a full-time manager,
Okay.
whatever he needed at that point.
And from Heirloom then to Soul?
Then to Soul.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been here now?
It's almost 2 years now. It'll be 2 years in January.
Right.
So.
That's great. What is this?
So that is a traditional daiquiri made with plantation pineapple rum. Really funky Haitian rum aged on pineapple bark, please.
Yeah.
My favorite rum right now.
Oh, that's delicious.
Oh, it's so good. That rum
Yum.
is so dry and pineapple-y, and
I love that. Well, what else is going on? Did you get married recently?
I did. February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, so I will never forget my anniversary.
That's a good man.
Yeah.
Smart man.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Me and my wife Leanne, we've been together for 3 years before we got married. Wildly in love, pretty much at first sight. We had all these grandiose wedding plans and all that, and we ended up eloping to Asheville instead and kind of calling all our family members day of and like, hey, I know y'all were expecting this, but this is kind of what's happening now. So we took a week and stayed in the Grove Park Inn and kind of just combined honeymoon, wedding, vacation.
Right.
It was real good. I was extremely hungover for my own wedding, but you know,
That's okay.
It
That's
happens.
okay. That happens to a lot of people. Well, let's try another cocktail. What else do we have here?
All right, so this is a North Carolina Vesper made with Sutler's Gin, Doc Porter's vodka. One of our bartender's wives was Brian Pratt, you know Mina?
Yes.
She made
Miss
us,
Mina.
Yeah, Miss Mina.
Miss
yeah.
Mina.
She made us a blood orange and dandelion bitters. She does all this crazy stuff for us behind this bar.
That's
and
great.
just absolutely amazing, talented. And then just a little Cochi Americano in place of Kina Lillet.
Well, I think we need to try it.
Please do.
That's delicious. Truly delicious.
Yeah, it's real easy to drink for being 100% alcohol.
That's dangerous.
They're dangerous. Yeah, super dangerous. I like to put those in the freezer a little bit after I mix them, so they're just like, the glass is like cloudy cold, and the vodka and gin is just.
Okay, so that's a great point because and I think we've talked about this before, and I've talked about talk with other bartenders. Chefs are kind of the same way. What is your routine? Like, do you drink much at home?
Honestly, no.
Right. Right. Why
mean,
does that happen?
I honestly think it's just because I deal with alcohol all the time. I'm just.
Right.
If I drink at home, it's not mixing cocktails. Everybody's like, "What do you mix at home?" I'm like, "Tequila on the
that
rocks."
question all the time, don't you?
Just tequila over ice. Is that what you want? I don't think that's what you want, but that's what I want right now.
Do you want me to make you my favorite
Yeah.
drink? No, you don't.
No.
Chefs say that too all the time.
Yeah.
Like, ask Jay Pound, the chef here. You know, is like, what do you fix when you go home?
I mean,
And
he
he's
lives
like,
off of peanut butter alone.
peanut butter and like frozen pizzas and like weird easy stuff.
Yeah,
right?
because
like,
I mean,
microwave dinners.
you're the exact same. We in the trenches all day long,
Yeah.
and the last thing we want to do is take that extra time for ourselves when it's
Right.
been all given to our guests.
I don't think I want to wash like the mixers
Exactly.
one more time.
Exactly.
Right?
Like if
I
I'm
don't wanna
actually
mix
doing
another
like
strainer in there.
the most complicated drink I'll do at home is a Boulevardier, and it's just whiskey, Campari,
Do you
sweet
use a
vermouth.
jigger or you just
no,
eyeball it? Just
no,
eyeball it?
it in the glass, not stirred, just like swirled a little bit.
That's so great. We've talked a little bit about how you and Leanne's relationship has affected your work and your career. Who else? What about your dad?
Definitely a driving force. I know that his end goal was not for me to follow him in this industry. Before I was taking steps into leadership in this industry, there was constant talk of, you need to find another job. You need to maybe finish school, all that kind of stuff and everything. And I know he was looking out for me because this industry is cutthroat,
right.
and nobody's experienced that more than him. So there was a protective fatherly instinct coming there. I remember one day, still waiting tables at Providence Road Sundries, and it stuck with me. We were having a conversation, and it was going on to plans about where I was going in my future, and he looked at me and said, When I was your age, I owned 2 restaurants.
Wow.
And this was when
How
he
old,
lived
how
in.
old were you at that point?
I was 25. So
Yeah.
he was. He had a place up in Connecticut at that point, and was finishing the plans for Sundries, I believe. And something about that just struck a chord with me. It lit a fire up under my ass. Just like, okay, so I'm very stagnant in my career at this point. Like, at that point, I was happy going in at 5 o'clock, leaving at midnight, making a couple $100,
Yeah.
making $100, just saying fuck it and go drink.
Right.
You know? And there were a couple more things between that conversation and where I am now that just really, really fired me up.
Like what?
Because my dad made such a mark on the Charlotte restaurant scene through Alexander Michaels, Providence Road Sundries, 5 Steps Down, like all these iconic sports bars.
These were all your dad's places.
5 Steps Down was his, Providence Road Sundries. He helped open Alexander Michaels, like all these amazing Charlotte staples.
Right.
5 Steps Down, unfortunately, doesn't exist anymore. I believe it's Zio's now. But just the need to continue his legacy in this industry, in this town where every single day we are opening up a new concept, we're opening up a new brewery, we're opening up a new cocktail lounge, new cocktail bar, and finding a way to keep the Minton name alive in this industry was something that I really wanted to do.
Okay, we've got one more cocktail over here.
Beautiful.
What is going on down there?
This one is extremely special to me.
Okay.
This is the James Ryan. This is named after my grandfather on my mother's side. He was a very, very hard, loud Irishman from New York. Everything about him was bittersweet and strong. And
It's delicious.
thank you very much.
Wow.
Growing up, I never saw him without a glass of Johnny Walker Black in one hand or Johnny Walker Red.
Right.
He alternated. And a Marlboro in the other.
Well, I taste smoke.
Yep.
Right.
So I wanted to kind of incorporate his personality with his favorite things. And as bad as it sounds to say, his favorite things are scotch and cigarettes.
Sure.
Like, you had to go with what you saw.
Right.
So I hope you tasted the kind of bittersweet, boozy nose
Totally.
there. So it's
Totally.
a Johnny Walker Black based cocktail supported by port and capillate, which are both different forms of fortified wines.
Right.
The glass and the ice cube are smoked with a North Carolina blend of tobacco, North Carolina sweet leaf.
That's brilliant.
So he's got the scotch, he's got the tobacco, everything that he would want
That's
in a
him.
drink right there.
It's him in a glass.
That's him in a glass, I'd like to think. So unfortunately, he's not around to try this drink and give it his seal of approval. But when I was conceptualizing this, it was Big Daddy all the way through.
Is that what you called him?
Big Daddy and Nanette.
Big Daddy?
Yep.
Well, cheers. Here's the Big Daddy. That's awesome.
Cheers.
So I've noticed something over the time we've been talking, and I have to ask you about it. I hope it's okay. What is going on with your hands, man?
So this byproduct of bartending constantly.
Bar rot?
I wouldn't call it that. Cuts that won't heal.
Cuts that won't heal. Gotcha.
I mean, I told you the story about catching a pore spout right under my middle finger. That just completely, absolutely destroyed the nail there. This thumb is getting burnt. The side is so burnt from flaming orange peels and everything.
Right.
All the time, it's just so calloused and everything. And the thumbnail actually goes halfway down instead of like just over the top ridge.
Oh, man.
Citrus cuts that just need to be covered up at all times.
Right.
And just,
Man.
I mean, it's the long and short of it is just small cuts on fingers
Yeah.
that just refuse to heal from getting covered in alcohol.
Oh, you
and
work with
juice,
your
all that.
hands,
Yeah.
right? You work with your hands. It's not gonna go away real easy.
So I would much rather y'all see tape than just cuts left and right.
Well, that's all right. I appreciate it. I know how that is, and that's that. It's not fun to just
still
do
have,
daily
I have
chores
five.
with your hands
I have a
chewed
full
up.
hand of fingers left. That's not
In
hurt,
between
so
two
we're
hands?
good. Yeah.
Hey.
We're good. We're good.
50%. That's
I
pretty
can
good.
still stir and shake. It's all good.
Okay, I think we've just about covered everything I wanted to talk about, but I can't thank you enough for coming and doing this, like taking your time and opening up your house and home for us. So thank you, brother.
My spot is
Thank
always
you.
your spot.
Thank you so much for doing this. Hey, and
appreciate y'all
I guess we
coming in.
probably ought to have one last little sip. Here's to you. Thanks again, brother.
Cheers, Bob. Thank
Cheers.
you.
Cheers.
Unique New York.